Hey, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So, as you know already, my name is Sebastian. You can find me as Seba Soga in Twitter. I work for a company called Cookpad. We recently launched the website for Taiwan, so that's the URL. You should check it out if you like to cook. I'm pretty excited about being here. There's a lot of things I like about Taiwan. So one of them is bubble tea. I also enjoy the night market a lot. I think it's pretty cool that there's free Wi-Fi in a lot of places. We don't have free Wi-Fi in Colombia, where I come from. So I had a great shaved ice, pineapple shaved ice this week. I also love that, so I added that to my list. I think it's pretty cool that you have Hello Kitty Team Jams, even trains. That's nice. And what I found really interesting is that here receipts are lottery tickets. Yay! So I have a chance to go back with a bag full of money. The problem is that my friend Juanito also wants to get all the recipes. Sorry, all the receipts. So if you don't live here, maybe you can give him your receipts, and you might even make him rich. Okay, so this is my second time in Taipei, in Taiwan. I was here in May for Rails Pacific. I made some friends. We had a really good time. You can see it by Godfrey's and Ryan's faces. But that time I made a terrible mistake when I gave my talk, and it's that I forgot to take a selfie. So I won't forget this. Forget it this time, and I want to take a selfie with all of you. So raise your hands or do something. 1, 2, 3. Good job, everyone. Okay, I just tweeted that. Okay, so let's continue. So Taiwan and I have like a really long relationship, and that goes back to the 80s. I'm an 80s kid. So my favorite toy in the whole world were the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this particular ones were made of plastic, and they were made in Taiwan. So we have a really long relationship. And then, as I grew up, I saw a lot of other things made in Taiwan. So in like to honor that, since I'm here, I decided to make a slide that's 100% made in Taiwan. Okay, I guess now it's time to get to business. So, the name of the talk is The Overnight Failure. This talk is based on a true story. Something that happened on the previous company I worked for, where we were building a carpooling app. I was part of like kind of a team, you could say, that was, that had 3 engineers. The 3 of us were partially working on the billing system or the payment system, so that's like relevant to the story. You'll see why. Then, just to give you a little bit of more context, I want to tell you about who were like our users, so the users of the app we were building. So it was like people like, I don't know, let's call her Marcella. She has a car. She uses her car to go from point A to point B every day and back to point A. Where we could say that point A is Marcella's home and point B is her place of work. So there's another person called Claudia who works in the same building as Marcella, and she wants to start like sharing her car with Marcella. With Marcella every day. So they could start using the app, like create a carpool there, which both could join. Oh yeah, we're back. And then they could start like carpooling every day, going back and forth together. And the app will keep track of the trips they were doing together. They could even like add more people to their carpool and like still share the car. And like once every week, the system or the app on Saturday morning will run like the billing system, count how many trips they took together that week, and take in account the distance of those trips, and then like charge the passengers using their credit or debit card, and later like pay the driver for those trips. So just so that everyone's with me and don't get lost, just like a quick recap. So the app allowed people to carpool every day, and once a week the billing process was run, and that charged the passengers and paid the driver. So let's talk a little bit about like roughly how the billing system worked. So the billing system had a, like we could say like a reg task maybe, that run every 7 days on Saturdays at 6 a.m. And that process will get like all the trips that occurred during the last 7 days during that week from the database, the trips that hadn't been charged before, and it will process them and like put each trip on the queue as a result. Each one of like those jobs, you could call them, on the queue contain 3 things, basically like 3 references: one to the driver, one to the passenger, and one to the trips, to the collection of trips that occurred that week. When the user was that specific user was the driver and the other specific user was the passenger. Okay, so then after those trips were queued, then there was like a background worker that would process all of the jobs in that queue, and then like send them to the payment gateway. The payment gateway would basically like charge the passenger using the credit or debit card, and then create like the bank transfer to the driver's account. Okay, so now you know what the company did, roughly how the billing system worked, and now let's talk about the failure. This is the part you were expecting, right? So this is how everything went to hell. So I like to call this the Black Saturday. It doesn't have to do with Black Friday. I hope it was that fun. Doesn't have to do with like shopping spree, unfortunately. But let me tell you what happened. So basically, on a given Saturday, at 6 a.m. as usual, the billing task or process starting to work. To run as I described before, putting like payment jobs in the queue. So I'll show everything that happened on that Black Saturday on like a timeline. So this is the first event. Then let's say one of the users, could be Claudia, went to the grocery store or to a convenience store to buy something to prepare the breakfast that day. So maybe like bread and eggs, something like that. And when she was going to pay with her credit card was rejected. So she was like, "Wow, that's weird." So basically, that second event, she went online, like started looking for what happened, and it seemed like her credit card limit was exceeded, and she saw like a lot of charges from this carpooling app. So she started to get mad. Not only her, like a lot of users started to notice the same thing. So Claudia's example was that her credit card, her credit card limit was all like used, or she went over the limit. But some other users were like in different situations. Some of them had like a checking account that they used to pay for their trips, and those checking accounts were overdrawn. Other users used their saving accounts, and those saving accounts had 0 as a balance. Like all of their savings had gone. So people started to get really, really mad. Like the people from the company started receiving, the support team started to receive like a lot of complaints, a lot of angry calls, angry emails, and things started to get out of control around like 6:34 a.m. early in the morning. So that's the third event on this Black Saturday. So it was Saturday morning, really early. I don't wake up at 6:30 a.m. on Saturday mornings. So I was sleeping, I was enjoying my bed, and then the phone started ringing. I received a call at like 6:43. So I answered the phone, and like roughly this is the conversation happening. So my manager said, like, sorry to call you this early, but we have a problem with payments in production, and a lot of customers are complaining about it. So I answered, like, yeah, sure, I'll take a look right away. Let's talk over chat, over Slack, which is what I think we used. So I think I hung up, and then I was like, fuck. I was yelling out of frustration. I know if my customers were complaining that early because it was something really bad. The bad thing is I forgot and I didn't hang up the phone, and my manager was like, hey, I'm still here. We just had a big laugh together, but it was kind of embarrassing. So then we could say that that's like the fourth event. So for now, this is our timeline for that Black Saturday. So after a quick look at the billing system, I noticed that it looked like this. So the process that queues the jobs was not running, was done already, but there were thousands of duplicated jobs in the queue, and they were still being processed. So when I look at what was happening with those jobs that were being processed, some of them were like being rejected, actually most of them, but some of them were still like being processed successfully, which meant that a lot of customers were still being charged. So another weird thing I noticed is that like even for charges that failed, the payment gateway was still creating a transfer to the driver, which was kind of weird and even more confusing. So what I decided to do right away is basically like to kill the background worker so that it stopped processing the jobs that were in the queue. And that caused basically that stopped charges, the charges that were being the ones that were still being successful were not attempted to do anymore. So we could say that now, like around 6:58, I stopped or contained the issue or the problem. Kind of like 20 minutes after my manager called, and almost an hour after like the billing process started working. So I spent most of the rest of the day gathering information about the users affected, which basically were every user that had carpooled during the past week. And during like that process of gathering data, I noticed that like what we could say was the user that was less affected was charged 50 times. So there were other users that were charged like hundreds of times, much more. And the ones that were charged only 50 times is probably because like they got to the critical limit faster than the rest. So it was pretty bad. So while I was investigating what happened, so basically this is how the system looked at the beginning, I found that there were basically two bugs that together made this whole mess possible. So the first one was in the process that put jobs in the payment queue. The process should be basically in queuing a job, putting a job in the queue basically for a combination of what I mentioned, like driver, passenger, and trips. They had together that way. The thing is that it didn't work that way. Something happened, and it was basically putting each one of those combinations a lot of times, thousands of times in the queue. So that was the first problem. That was like the first bug, or what started the Black Saturday. And we failed to catch that before we deployed it in production. It was I realized that it was a change that we deployed that week. So that was bad. And then I also noticed like a second bug, and I kind of like air quote bug, because you might not consider it a bug, because it's not that something was wrong, it was more that we didn't follow kind of like a good practice of basically making like operation idempotent. So what we should be doing is like basically checking before charging, or before attempting to charge like a bunch of trips, if we should be checking if we already tried to charge them, and we weren't. So basically we should be checking if we had already charged it. We should like not do anything. If we hadn't charged it before, like just do the regular flow. But we weren't. We were basically like just charging every trip we found, or everything we found on the queue. So that was also bad. If we had this precaution before, like even with the first bug, nothing bad would have happened. We would just have ended up with like thousands of jobs in the queue, but that's not that bad. I mean, we could just like deal with that really easily, and no user would have been charged more than once. But that wasn't the case. So basically, like the bugs on the step where the 7 is and the step where the cogs are caused this whole mess. So basically, someone else from the billing team got online, repaired, kind of like trying to reproduce the bug and then fixing it. So we worked all day and basically like deployed a fix close to midnight, like at 10:15 midnight. And then I was like really frustrated, and after we deployed, I started looking for another job. I was sure I was going to be fired next Monday. Well, I'm actually kidding, but I wouldn't judge anyone doing that after such a situation. I feel like I just wanted to like break. It was a really frustrating day. So now that you know what happened, I just want to share a little bit about what we learned from the situation, from that bug, from all that mess we caused, and some of the learnings are from stuff we did right, some are from stuff we maybe didn't do, but we should have done. And I want to split those like in 3 main like topics of points of view. The first one is engineering, the second one is support or support related stuff, and the third one is public relationships or PR. So let's talk about engineering first, which is like I think what most of us relate the most with. So the first thing that we I think did right is that we made sure that we understand what caused the issue. It was pretty easy for us to find out what caused the issue, and we realized then that we didn't have proper testing and proper monitoring in place, which was really bad. So we had like a lot of like unit tests or like small integration tests, but we didn't have good like I don't know how to call it, like end-to-end tests. Basically something that simulated the whole billing flow. If we had, we would have probably caught the problem, first of all, and second, like even if we didn't have that, if we had some sort of monitoring where we checked if we were putting too many jobs in the queue, like a huge amount that doesn't make a lot of sense, or maybe if we checked that we were charging a user too much, like more than a certain amount during the same day, we would have gotten alerts earlier, and we could have prevented like a lot of this problem we had. So this is key. Something that we discussed about, but I think we didn't do it as like deeply as we should have. It's like, what sort of bugs are we hitting? Like this type of bug is a bug that really affects like your user's trust in your product. So basically, this type of bug is the type of bug that might cause a user for never to use your product again. to go away and like never trust you again. So it's normal to have bugs in software, like we all know that. It's not a secret. But if you are like hitting this kind of like big bugs that affect confidence from your users, from your customers in a big way, there's definitely something wrong, and you probably want to like slow down and focus a lot on like review your processes and check if you're testing the right things or not, and creating safety nets for your team and for your product to prevent this from happening again. So we kind of did this, but I think we didn't do it like in their own, like probably because I don't know, like a couple months later we had another big issue, which wasn't related to billing, but basically was just showing that we had flaws in different processes in our team. Okay, so another thing from the engineering point of view that you need to take into account that we learned is that you should definitely write postmortems or document your failures and make them public, at least internally in the company. Every company has different politics about what they make public or what they don't. But at least you should document them to have an internal document, and that has basically like three main objectives. The first one is to prevent you and your team from making the same mistake again. The second one is to share what you learned, because basically on the postmortems we didn't only explain what happened, we also explained how we fixed it, what we did to basically deal with the problem. And the third thing is to clear out what happened and what really happened to everyone. So I didn't realize it was important until like a few weeks later, when some other engineers in the company had nothing to do with payments were asking me like what really happened, and if we actually were able to find out the reason of why everything failed, of what we have this like big issue that affected a lot of users. And I realized that probably one of the reasons why that person was asking the question is because we hadn't written the postmortem yet, which would be a good place to point that person to, or maybe if that was published already, that person wouldn't even have to ask the question. So now let's talk a little bit more about the support side of things, the support perspective. So one really important thing is to respond fast while being careful. And what I mean with this is that if you notice an error and you start getting like a lot of calls or emails or whatever channel you have to offer support through, you should be quick to respond, but also be careful with what you say. A lot of this didn't happen to us, but I saw it happen to other friends that work in other product companies, where they kind of promise a solution or say that the problem is fixed when it isn't, and that makes the problem even worse. So it's really important to be careful with what you say, but respond fast so that people know that you're working on it, that at least you know that something wrong is happening, and don't just think that you basically abandon them. Another thing is to be proactive, reaching out to the users when something is wrong. So a lot of people, when this happened, some people basically suggested let's not reach out to users and tell them that we basically fucked up. Let's only wait. Let's only be I don't know, responsive. I don't know if responsive is the right word, but basically reactive. I think is a better word for that. Let's only react to the users that reach out to us because they were affected with the bug or they noticed something wrong happened. But this is clearly a really bad idea. You should actually, if you know that something happened, even if the user haven't realized it yet, you should reach out to them, explain that something went wrong, kind of briefly explain what happened, and explain what you're doing to fix it, or you already fixed it. Like even if people don't reach out to you, that doesn't mean that they didn't find the bug. So actually most users, when they find a bug or find an error in an application, they don't contact support. The percentage of people that contact support when they find an issue, it's depending on the product, of course, and depending on the type of user, can vary, but it's already really low. So you shouldn't expect them to reach out to you saying that there's something wrong. You should be proactive. And if, like, even for people that doesn't reach out to you complaining about a bug, it doesn't mean that they're happy or they're okay with having bugs. Like this, if they start to accumulate it, they would probably just like suffer silently and then suddenly like leave, stop using your product. So it's way better to be proactive in that sense. And another thing that we did, I think we did right, and it was very appreciated from users, was to kind of overcompensate them for the damage that we caused. So what happened is that, for example, when we realized what happened, we issued refunds for all the users right away. Like within the next hour, all the users have been issued a refund. The thing is that refunds take normally up to 5 days to be processed, and we had used for some of our users, we have used all of their money, like all of the money they had available. So they couldn't wait 5 days because they have to pay bills, they have to eat, they have to pay rent, whatever. So what we did for some of them, if they couldn't wait 5 days, is to offer them to mail them a check, so they could like receive it the next day and have the money available quicker than what the payment gateway could offer us. Well, basically the banking system could offer us. Another thing we did is basically we told the users, okay, we charge you like 100 times for 5 trips you took this week. Those trips, like, we'll refund you for all of those, all the money we charged you. We will also pay for those trips. We'll pay the driver on your behalf for the trips that just happened this week and for the trips that are going to happen in the next 2 weeks. That was kind of like an attempt to compensate the harm that we did, and also in an attempt to keep users close, or like basically enable them to keep using the app for the next 2 weeks, and so that they didn't leave. So it's easier that if you make them keep using the app because it's free for them, they won't leave after those 2 weeks. Some of them at the end left, and that's something that you have to be aware of when you have a bug like has such an impact as this one. It's normal that some users leave, like don't come back. I think it's totally understandable, and like any of us in that situation would probably do it as well. So now let's talk about a little bit about public relationships, which is not my area of expertise, and we didn't have to do like a lot of work in this aspect, but I know depending on the company, it might be really important. So I'll mention a couple of things that I think work really well for us. The first is basically admit that you made a mistake. All companies make mistakes. They're run by humans. We're humans after all. And the quicker you admit the mistake, the less of an impact you will have in your product's reputation. Also, don't use like templates, non-apologetic responses. Project empathy. Make users feel like you understand that you caused them hassle, that you understand that you put them in a bad situation. And it's better if you get like someone with a name and a face to reach out to their users instead of like hiding behind like the corporate name or image of a company. So it's better if I know Sebastian writes in behalf of the company and gives you like personal contact information in case they have any questions or any other complaints. That normally works better. We did that, and it was really appreciated by people. And also like tell the whole truth. It's better to be honest and tell what went wrong. If you don't do it, like it will probably eventually be known by users. Users are not stupid. So it's better just to tell the whole truth. And the faster you do it, the faster you can move on and not worry about like hiding stuff. So yeah, take full accountability for the failure, whether it was like a failure in your service, in the design, or in someone's judgment. Basically, these two next slides are something really important that we don't really realize, and is that like you should know that the reputation of your product is going to be the average of your customer experiences. So don't get beat up too much because of like specific problems you might eventually have. And remember that individual customers may not be forgiving, but like the customer base is, as long as you treat them right. So just to wrap it up, like a few personal notes from a fellow developer that has been in this situation. Remember that embarrassing things happen to all of us, so don't get too beat by it. Don't get too beat up by it. Remember to breathe. Like, this is so temporal. You will survive this. Learn and laugh about it. You will like laugh about it in the future, even if you screw up big time. And if possible, like take a few days off. Dealing with like stressing incidents can really like tax your productivity and motivation. So if it's possible, when like everything's controlled, when the damage is controlled, like just take a couple of days off to decompress. So just to not end in such a depressing note, I'm sure that like even if you screw up really badly, it won't be as bad as this.
It's going to say, hey, I see you in a new device. And it's going to load in the appropriate drivers. You'll notice that this scanner will grow.
Yeah, so even if you mess up in front of the press and your boss, everything's going to be fine. Like, everything can be fixed and temporary. So I hope you enjoyed the talk. You should check our like engineering blog group at engineeringblog.sourcediving.com. We have some cool stuff over there. And thanks a lot. Do we have any questions?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Does anyone have a question?
Hello, thank you for your talk. I just wondering if you have any lesson learned from your maybe development process. For example, just like if you make a change on your payment system, you need to maybe stage roll out, something like that, only release maybe 5% or 1% to your users. Did you have some lesson learned from something such as?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I don't know if everyone heard the question. So it's basically if we have any process to roll out big changes on like a billing system, right? Is that correct? So what we did after this is that we kind of like created a simulated payment system. So basically where we would replace our payment gateway with a fake one. So we would run the whole process and then like create like a record of what would have happened if we would have been using the actual payment gateway, and then review that. And so after this happened, we like every time, basically every week before we run the actual process, we will run the simulated process and see the result and check that nothing weird was happening there. And that allowed us to make changes like more confidently and roll them out anytime. Does anyone else have a question?
Excuse me, since we have slight delay, so we have to end here. Okay. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to contact Sebastian.
Yeah, I'll be here today and tomorrow. You can also tweet at me there, so feel free to ask me any questions.
Yeah, so let's take 10 minutes break right now, and the next session will start in 10 minutes, okay? Thank you very much.